Chapter 541. 3 Women Make a Market, for a Fair. Shen Yoren said, "Pass me the money. I'll return it to them." Her mother immediately walked 2 steps backward. "What do you mean you're going to return it to them? How can you do that? You can't. Anyway, I won't return the money no matter what. Yoren, stop being silly. No matter how nice he is to you, he's just toying with you for the time being. He has no intention of marrying you in the future. He'll dump you once he's sick of you. When that time comes, you won't have him nor the money. Why don't you just take the money and leave? You can do anything you want with so much money." However, Shen Yoren grabbed her mother in a fit of fury. "Pass me the money, quick. Tell me where it is. How can you do this to me? Shen Yoren, did I raise you for nothing?" Her mother shouted angrily. "Mother, will you or will you not give me the money? If you don't give it to me, I'll call the cops and report you for detain." "What's that?" Her mother did not know if such a crime actually existed. "Hand it to me quickly." All right, give it to her." Shen Yoren's father pulled her hand away and said, "Fine, I'll give it to her. This unfilial daughter, humph. She doesn't think about us at all. She only cares about seeking pleasure. Why don't you think about how your parents are still suffering over here? If people see you having so much fun outside while your parents are living in such a small house, you're the one they'll be laughing at." Shen Yoren did not understand why they were saying this. However, it was meaningless to argue with them. Her father threw the card straight onto the ground. "Get lost, you money-grubbing thing. The password is your sister's birthday." Shen Yoren glanced at her father with her lip between her teeth. She looked down and picked the card up before turning around and walking out. Shen Yoren's mother nearly cried in anger at having lost the money. Shen Yoren's father said, "Humph. She'll regret it one day. The situation won't be pretty when she gets dumped. Why is she pretending to be virtuous? She should know that her family background is no match compared to his." Shen Yoren met Chen Yucheng and passed him the card and the password to the card as well. She told him to take out the money and return it to the Chen family. Chen Yucheng was very angry and immediately said, "I'll go and sort this out with my mother. Yoren, I'm sorry that she caused a disturbance to your family. I didn't think that she would go this far so soon." It no longer bothered Shen Yoren. It was her family that had disappointed her by actually taking the money. Was her love worth only this little in their eyes? Even though Shen Yulin had made mistakes and had gotten herself into so much debt, they still thought highly of her. But they criticized Shen Yoren even though she had never done anything wrong. That night, Shen Yoren asked Lin Che and Yu Minmin out for some drinks. The 3 of them entered the private room. The place that they had found was a pretty good club. It was Lin Che who had brought them to this place because she had heard that it was safe for them to drink however much they liked here. After all of the customers were wealthy people and it was not a disorderly place. When they saw 3 women walk in, the waiters were not too pleased. But they looked closer and realized that one of them was Lin Che and another one was Yu Minmin. Both of them were not at all lacking in money. Celebrities earned a lot, to begin with, and Yu Minmin was even the wife of the president. Thus, they quickly went up to them. After they opened a private room for the 3 of them, Lin Che went in and asked, "What should we drink?" Shen Yoren said, "Let's drink something expensive. All of you are so rich that I won't drink anything else." Yu Minmin asked, "How am I rich?" "Just ask Lin Che. I get paid so little. Lin Che gets paid more." "Ha, you're the president's wife and you dare to cry about being poor. I'll cry right now for you to see." "I don't get paid for being the president's wife. Lin Che gets paid a few million just to star in a movie. She definitely earns the most among the 3 of us. She'll treat us today." "Hey, how can you cheat me like that? I've just paid my former company all of my money." But although she said that, Lin Che knew that she was probably earning the most among them. Therefore, she good-naturedly took the menu and looked at the options while warning the 2 of them. "Order less. Don't spend so much." In the end, of course, Shen Yoren was not shameless enough to order anything too expensive after looking at the menu. She merely said, "Then, let's order the cheapest option. Let's have some beer instead. The other options will make us drunk too quickly and even harm our health." The waiters were completely disappointed. When they left the room, a few other waiters immediately gathered around them after hearing that the president's wife had actually brought people here for drinks. The waiter said in disbelief, "They only ordered something that cost a few thousand." "No way, she's the president's wife. Is she that poor?" And they even made Lin Che pay for it, saying that she earned the most among them. They said that she gets paid a few million for a movie. That's seriously disappointing. Alright then, I actually thought that we would get a huge order today. The crowd dissipated in disappointment. Although several of them were curious to see Lin Che and the Madam President, they dared not head inside directly. However, two of the waiters looked at them out of curiosity when they went in to serve the beer. The three women drank while gossiping and listening to music. Shen Yoren said, "I really envy the fact that you guys are married. To be honest, I want to get married too. If I get married, I'll be able to leave the house." Lin Che said, "Then do it. Ask Chen Yucheng to marry you and give him no choice in it." "But it's true that the gap between us is pretty big. His family will definitely look down on me. More importantly, their family opposes our relationship. It'll get too annoying if they keep interfering." Yu Minmin said, "It depends mainly on what he thinks. If it really won't work out, get Gu Jingze to put pressure on them so that the Chen family has no choice but to acknowledge you." "Ha, like I have that kind of power to make Gu Jingze help me." Furthermore, romance is a matter for the two people involved. It's terrifying to get so many involved for no reason. Alright then, in any case, we'll always be on your side. If that Chen Yucheng bullies you, just say the word and we'll immediately punish him. "Hey, he's pretty alright," Shen Yoren continued, "it's just that I was really scared when people from his family came to our office. I don't even know how I'm going to go back there tomorrow. Everyone saw what happened today and they definitely guessed that these people were from the Chen family. They already hated me from the start since I'm always with Chen Yucheng. Now, they'll pay even more attention to me." While speaking, Shen Yoren gulped down a huge mouthful of beer. Their beer bottles slowly became empty as they drank. The three of them also moved from the sofa to the floor. Lin Che leaned against the sofa and started singing, "It's a good day today. Whatever you wish for will come true." Yu Minmin said in disbelief, "Can you shut up? The whole nation knows that you sing terribly. Why are you still singing? You're so mean. You're the one who let the whole nation know about it. If you dare criticize me again, I'll put a curse on you so that you won't have a sex life in the future. By the way, you haven't told us yet. Exactly how good are Mr. President's skills?" Yu Minmin said, "Get lost." Shen Yoren said, "Come on, tell us. How's your sex life? Quick, tell us." Chapter 542, She hit someone after getting drunk. Yu Minmin said, "I can't be bothered with you two drunks. I'll go take a piss." After she left for the washroom, Lin Che also had to go. She was swaying on her feet as she walked out. She felt extremely dazed when she left the washroom. But a high-class hotel was ultimately a high-class hotel. She did not feel particularly terrible, just very dizzy. She felt as if the path was tilted wherever she went. Then, she crashed into someone by accident. In her daze, she saw that she had crashed into a person and mumbled, "I'm sorry." "Hey, isn't this Lin Che?" "Yes, it's definitely Lin Che. I've seen her in person. It's definitely her." Lin Che looked up when she heard him say her name, only to see a plump man with a skinny man beside him. "Oh, nice to meet you," Lin Che mumbled. The plump man immediately crinkled his eyes in a smile as if he was very interested in Lin Che. "Hey, Lin Che. Wow, what a coincidence to bump into you here. Quick, come with us. Let's go to our private room and have fun. I really liked your costume." "What costume was it?" "Oh, that open skirt in that movie you were in. It was so slutty." Lin Che's expression turned cold as she looked at the man in front of her. "Sir, can you mind your words a little?" The fat man said, "Oh no, I'm just complimenting you. Men like it when women are slutty, hee hee hee." Lin Che could not be bothered with him. She was here to drink and have fun. Why should she lower herself to his level? She turned around and wanted to return to her own room. But the fat man immediately pulled her back. "Hey, I'm talking to you. Come on, come with us." "I'm not going. Move aside. I'm very busy." You're not coming. Hey, why not? Why? Do you want money? The man ran in front of Lin Che while speaking. Lin Che's mood had really taken a downturn. This auntie came here to spend money. Move aside. Hey, who are you talking to? You're nothing but an actress. But you dare to call yourself my auntie? The fat man immediately said, you better come over here. Lin Che was already trying her best to control her anger down. However, she was still a little out of sorts because she just drank alcohol. Let go of me and move aside. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude, Lin Che said. The man said, ha. Let me see what you mean by that. With a perverted expression, the man said, are you going to be rude by letting me fuck you? His face came close to Lin Che's, so she immediately slapped him without holding herself back. A resounding slap. The man instantly flared up upon being hit. You cheap slut, how dare you hit me? He was about to grab Lin Che as he spoke. Lin Che was feeling tipsy from the alcohol, but she still managed to dodge the fat man's hand by instinct. Behind her, a waiter happened to walk past them. Lin Che grabbed the waiter and pushed him directly in front of the fat man. The fat man grabbed a hold of the waiter. He glanced at the waiter angrily and pushed him to the ground thereafter. Then, he also shouted at the waiter, that woman, that one. She actually dared to hit me. Catch her for me and I'll give you 100,000 RMB in tips. The waiter turned around only to see Lin Che standing behind him. The waiter said in disbelief, President Wang, you. Seeing that the waiter was not moving, the fat man pushed him aside and tried to grab Lin Che again. The thin man behind him said frantically, President Wang, don't get into a scuffle. If you cause any damage here, it won't be good either. But the fat man had gone insane from anger at being slapped by a woman. He paid no heed to his words and chased after Lin Che. When Lin Che saw him catching up with her, she threw whatever she could find at him. A bump immediately grew on the fat man's head after he was hit by a bowl that Lin Che had thrown. Holding his head, the fat man was so angry that he started to stagger. You bitch, I'll fuck you to death if I catch you. This man was seriously shameless. While Lin Che was running, Yu Minmin and Shen Yoren came out of the room behind her as well. They were a little surprised when they saw what was happening. What's going on? Lin Che, what happened? What did that man say earlier? Did he curse you out? Tisk, how dare he spew vulgarities at you? When the people involved recalled the incident thereafter, they really felt that they should never offend women. Especially women who were crazy when drunk. Shen Yoren immediately pushed her sleeves up. Does he think he's invincible? Yu Minmin too said, precisely. How ridiculous. Seeing that she had people to back her up, Lin Che said bluntly, his mouth is so foul. He deserves to get hit for it. The three of them no longer shied away from the confrontation. Leveraging on their numbers, they simply grabbed the fat man and started hitting him. Of course, the fat man had not expected to be attacked by three women. Especially not three women who seemed to have gone mad. They used whatever they picked up as a weapon against him. They even took some of the decorative items and hit him with them. The noise over here attracted attention in no time. Someone shouted, there's a fight going on at the front. A fight broke out. Initially, they had thought that a man was hitting a woman. But upon a closer look, it was unexpectedly some women hitting a man. Everyone got even more interested in what was happening. They watched on as the man with the surname Wang was surrounded by women and got beaten into a mess. He was even shouting, quick, get help. Save me. Some mad women are hitting me. The waiters were anxiously trying to break up the fight as well but could not do it. He continued shouting, stop hitting me. Stop hitting me. Don't touch that. That ornament is worth tens of thousands. Oh no, mesdames. This bottle is expensive too. Don't use it as a weapon. But the waiter's words went completely ignored. The three of them went on hitting the man until his face was blooming with bruises. The fight only stopped when the manager and the security guards of the establishment came to break up the fight. With one look, everyone saw that there were broken shards scattered all over the corridor floor. No part of the man's face was left intact, it was completely black and blue and it was obvious that he had been beaten quite badly. As the manager looked at the things that had been broken, he felt distressed and angry. What's going on? Why didn't you stop them? The manager looked up and saw that 3 drunk women were responsible for this mess. He was about to say something again when he saw a man had arrived with people following behind him and soon attracted even more attention. Gu Jingze had arrived. It was not Gu Jingze alone who was here, behind him was Chen Yucheng. He looked at broken shards scattered all over the floor. He froze before quickly lifting his leg and stepping across the mess. How did it get this far? Lin Che said, it's not our fault. It's all because of that bastard's foul mouth. Shen Yoren joined in and said, exactly. How dare he curse at us? Of course, we'd hit him to death. As if women are so easy to bully. Yu Minmin said, there's nothing to lose by hitting him anyway. Chen Yucheng was truly speechless. He rushed to Shen Yoren and hugged her. Enough. Come with me first. Gu Jingze narrowed his eyes at Lin Che. Lin Che knew that she had caused trouble. She quickly went to Gu Jingze and buried her head in his chest. Gu Jingze, I didn't mean to break their things. Chapter 543. What are you afraid of? We can just pay for the damage. With Lin Che in his arms, Gu Jingze said in disbelief, all right. We'll talk about it again later. Behind them, the manager was crying. What am I going to do about this? The fat man was sitting on the floor in a daze. He held his injured head. You hit me. I won't let you guys off. Compensate me. My face, good lord. Gu Jingze lowered his head and said, we'll pay for the items we damaged and the medical fees for your injuries. Why are you shouting? You just got beaten up, that's all. The manager was speechless. How domineering. It was their first time he encountered such a person. Gu Jingze said, get someone to quantify the damages and send the bill to the Gu family. Then, he pulled Lin Che to her feet and lifted this drunk woman into his arms in one swift motion. He carried her out and gestured for someone to bring Yu Minmin out at the same time. He could not believe that these 3 women had actually come here together and caused trouble. They could not have predicted that such a thing would happen. Otherwise, they would not have let them go out alone either. Everyone inside was stunned as they watched them leave in a formation. What the hell just happened? 3 women had beat someone up and broken things, but they simply left just like that. It was probably because they were so rich that they could afford to pay for the damage, so they could cause whatever damage they wanted. Things were not cheap here. But they had not even glanced at the damage and had simply said that they would pay for the damage and injuries that they had caused. They would pay whatever amount was asked for. It was no wonder that these 3 women dared to throw their weight around when they had people to back them up. As people looked at the broken shards on the floor and the man wailing over there, they were left completely speechless. Someone even pulled the man to his feet. That's enough. Stop lying on the floor. They already said that they would pay. You're a man but you let yourself get beaten up by women. Aren't you embarrassed? The man was completely stunned as well. I didn't expect this to happen either. I'm so unlucky to have encountered such a thing here. Good lord, my face. Everyone was clicking their tongues in wonder. It must be great to be rich. After getting into a drunken frenzy outside, smashing things and hitting people, you still have someone to clean up your mess. Lin Che and Shen Yoren were led out and forced into separate cars. As for Yu Minmin, Gu Jingze had quickly informed Gu Jingming about what had happened when he had arrived. Gu Jingming was already here when she came out. The moment he saw Yu Minmin being assisted by a bodyguard, he walked towards her and swiftly took her into his arms. Gu Jingming asked, what happened? Chen Yucheng said, nothing much. They were drunk and beat someone up inside. Gu Jingming looked down and glanced at Yu Minmin before pushing her straight into the car. These women, sure enough, they should never be allowed to gather together. Just like that, the 3 of them were separately led away. After arriving home, Lin Che was completely unaware of what had happened and fell asleep immediately. The next day, Gu Jingze woke her up early in the morning. It's time to wake up, Lin Che. Quick, get up. Lin Che opened her eyes immediately. Ah, my head hurts. Gu Jingze was looking down at her. So you can still feel your head hurting. Are you going to recklessly go out and wreak havoc again? Lin Che instantly recalled the events of yesterday. We what did we do? Aren't you embarrassed about it at all? The three of you beat someone up, Gu Jingze said. He himself found it surprising. 3 women beating up a man was seriously. Lin Che smacked her head before finally remembering. She felt unbearably awkward for a moment. No way. Then, what are we going to do? He was the one who started the fight and you guys were only reacting, right? Gu Jingze felt that Lin Che would not get into a fight for no reason. She had been impulsive then and had not controlled herself after getting drunk. She said helplessly, I'm sorry, in actual fact, he didn't really do anything. He was merely a little vulgar with his words, but I couldn't control myself. Don't ever do this again. He tapped her forehead lightly. Yes, I definitely won't do it again, Lin Che said quickly. You can just get the guards to beat him up. Why did you do it yourself? What if he was the better fighter and you got into trouble? Gu Jingze said. Lin Che froze immediately. So he wasn't blaming her for hitting someone. Aren't you angry that I hit someone? You hit him because he had a foul mouth, Gu Jingze said. But we'll have to compensate him, right? Lin Che said. I'm not so poor that I can't even afford to compensate him this small amount of money. My woman doesn't need to suppress her feelings just because of money either. If I have to compensate him, I'll do it. Lin Che's eyes twitched and she looked at Gu Jingze. He was so good to her and made her heart feel so warm. Nevertheless, she should avoid doing such things in the future. She must have been so pampered by him that she did not think about the consequences at the time. In the past, she definitely would have thought about it but would not have taken action. But she really felt that being rich gave her the guts to do these things. But if you dare to drink so much alcohol next time, I definitely won't let you off. Lin Che hastily smiled to appease him. I won't. Gu Jingze patted her head. Do you know what day it is today? I think we're supposed to worship our ancestors, Lin Che replied after thinking about it. After a pause, she sprang up frantically. No way, we're supposed to worship our ancestors. I can't believe I forgot about it. Good lord. Gu Jingze shook his head in disbelief. Forget it, you don't have to go. Just stay at home and rest. I'll let my mother know that you're not feeling well. Of course, Lin Che could not let that happen. She hastily said, no way. To be honest, I don't need to rest either. Forget it, since I was the one who caused this trouble, I should still go. It's my first time attending such a major event. Of course, I must go. Lin Che quickly jumped off the bed and promptly went to wash up and change. The members of the Gu family were split into 2 groups. One group went up the mountain to deliver the necessary items. The women stayed at the bottom to have a chat over tea. Upon arriving at the cemetery, Lin Che realized that there was a very beautiful looking mountain above. There was also a park below which was now completely filled with members of the Gu family. Thus, the area was cordoned off. In actual fact, the area was not intentionally blocked off to outsiders. However, with bodyguards standing around a family of people in the middle, it was obvious that they were not ordinary people, so many people dared not come close. Before the men started going up the mountain, Gu Jingze looked at the listless Lin Che and asked, why? Is your head still hurting? Lin Che could only say, I feel fine. It doesn't hurt that much. But what does the cemetery up there look like? Is there even a public cemetery here? Why don't I remember? The scenery here was beautiful and the air was enticing as well. It truly looked like a great place. Gu Jingze said, our ancestral tomb is up there. The Gu family fixed up the park but the ancestral tomb is closed to outsiders. Thus, the path leading up to the mountain is blocked off and no one is allowed inside. Wow, so you mean that this entire mountain is the Gu family's cemetery? That's right. Lin Che really did not expect even the park surrounding the Gu family's ancestral tomb to be so big. But after thinking about it, there was no doubt that such a wealthy family would have a huge and majestic ancestral tomb. Chapter 544. The child in her womb cannot be mine. That's right. Lin Che really did not expect even the park surrounding the Gu family's ancestral tomb to be so big. But after thinking about it, there was no doubt that such a wealthy family could have a huge and majestic ancestral tomb. Lin Che said, "Your family is too wealthy. Is the cemetery up there very luxuriously decorated?" "Luxurious. Do you think it's a hotel?" All right then." Gu Jingze pulled her along with him to take a look. "Look, that's the cemetery up there. After you enter, there will be a large path lined with trees on both sides. It leads to an inner chamber, in which all the burial rooms are sealed off. Guards are stationed outside. Behind that are the grass lawns and the park that form part of the cemetery. There's a small lagoon on that side. It isn't big. From what I know, it was constructed on the instruction of a feng shui specialist in the 1930s. It has stayed the same until today." Lin Che was struck dumb. She looked at Gu Jingze. "It's totally a royal tomb." Gu Jingze glared at her. Gu Jingze and Lin Che sat together and talked to each other. Someone came from the side to bring them some snacks. Lin Che's head was no longer hurting. She looked around curiously as she sipped her tea. Just then, she thought that she was mistaken when she looked up only to see. Outside, Mo Hilling was presently walking towards them. Mo Hilling had found out that the members of the Gu family would be here today. From afar, she saw the Gu family's cars lined up into the distance. When she took a closer look, the Gu family's bodyguards were clearing the place as expected. Seated inside were precisely the relatives of the Gu family. She scoffed internally and could not help but relish in the fact that she had ultimately caught them. She just knew it. Even if the Gu family did not welcome her, they could not possibly stay at home all the time. Since they had to go out, she would definitely see them. She could also see Gu Jingze from afar. With one look, she saw Gu Jingze's tall figure. Then, she saw Lin Che beside him. The two of them were seated together and talking cheerfully. That was her man, but now he had actually been bewitched by this slut, Lin Che. How was Lin Che worthy of Gu Jingze? Over there, Mu Wanqing was shocked when she saw Mo Hilling suddenly walking over. She immediately glanced at Gu Jingze before glaring at Mo Hilling. Then, she said to the guards immediately, "Go and find out what's happening." When the bodyguards started walking towards her, Mo Hilling said bluntly, "Stay away from me. I'm pregnant with the grandchild of the Gu family right now. You will definitely regret it if you dare to touch me." The bodyguards were very surprised and quickly turned to look at Gu Jingze. As Lin Che stood there, Gu Jingze massaged her hands and said immediately, "Don't worry." Lin Che nodded and gazed at Gu Jingze. As she was standing by his side, she did not feel too worried. She just did not want Mo Hilling to ruin the Gu family's gathering. Mo Hilling said immediately, Auntie, I'm pregnant with Gu Jingze's child. You can't lay a finger on me." Mu Wanqing looked at Gu Jingze in surprise. After hearing Mo Hilling's words, she asked in confusion, "What exactly is going on?" Gu Jingze looked at Mu Wanqing and said coolly, "I'll explain this to you later." Then, Gu Jingze walked a few steps forward. "Mo Hilling, what are you doing here?" Mo Hilling scoffed while looking at Gu Jingze. "You don't want to acknowledge my child, and even the Gu family is reluctant to acknowledge their grandchild." Gu Jingze sneered. "You're free to think however you want. But I've already told you that the child isn't mine." Just then, Mu Wanqing asked in surprise from behind them, "Tell me what exactly is happening." When Mo Hilling saw Mu Wanqing, she immediately burst into tears and wailed, "Auntie, I'm pregnant with Jingze's child. This child also carries the blood of the Gu family, but because he doesn't want me now, he doesn't want the child either. He doesn't want his own son, but do you not want your own grandson too?" Mu Wanqing's heart quaked. Gu Jingze said, "Mother, listen to me." Gu Jingze pulled Mu Wanqing aside and briefly explained the situation to her. Only then did Mu Wanqing catch on. She raised her head to look at Gu Jingze. "Are you sure that the child isn't yours?" "Yes, I'm sure." Mu Wanqing's expression hardened. She walked a few steps forward while looking at Mo Hilling, who was still crying. "Miss Mo, I didn't expect you to be such a person. How could you have thought of using such a method to get pregnant with Jingze's child?" Mo Hiling responded angrily, what do you mean, such a method? If not for the Gu family's obstruction at the start, Jingze and I would not have turned out like this today. Auntie, the entire Gu family is here today. I'm pregnant with his child, the eldest grandson of the Gu family. Is your family going to reject this child? If the child really was the eldest grandson of the Gu family, then Mu Wanqing would indeed be slightly reluctant for it to be aborted. But if Mo Hiling was giving birth to this child, she would rather have the child be aborted. Mu Wanqing said, putting aside the fact that this child doesn't carry the blood of the Gu family, we don't want it even if it does since you became pregnant with it using such a method. Mu Wanqing did not expect Mu Wanqing to actually say this. You don't want it? Ha, did you tell the old master about this? Doesn't the old master want his own grandson? Mu Wanqing said, we don't have to disturb the old master for something like this. Besides, Jingze already said that this child of yours isn't his. Mo Hiling scoffed, how can he be sure that it isn't his? He is completely under Lin Che's spell right now, so of course, he hopes that the child isn't his. But it is indeed his child. If you listen to him, you will only lose your grandson. Just think about how long Lin Che has been together with Gu Jingze, and yet there's no sign of a child. Maybe there's just something wrong with her and she can't get pregnant. If you reject this child now, don't regret it if Gu Jingze has no children in the future. Mu Wanqing was anxious to have a grandchild. But she only wanted Lin Che to quickly give birth to her grandson, not this woman before her whom she absolutely loathed. Alas, the relatives of the Gu family behind her did not think the same way. Carrying on the bloodline was so important for a prominent family. Besides, they felt nothing towards Lin Che. In particular, Gu Jingze's eldest aunt Gu Lanshan simply walked up to them and said, Sister-in-law, I think that what Miss Mo is saying makes sense too. Jingze, how can you be sure that the child in her womb isn't yours? Since all of us are here now, we should all go in and discuss the matter. Glancing at the people who were watching them from afar in curiosity, Mu Wanqing said, all right, let's talk about this again after going in. Seeing that the entire Gu family had gathered together with stern expressions on their faces, the people in the distance could not help but speculate about what scandal had broken out again in a prominent family like theirs. Mu Wanqing did not want anyone to get wind of all this groundless gossip. If word got out, she did not know how the rumors would develop. Mu Wanqing glared at Mo Hiling and said to the bodyguards, take Miss Mo away to rest up first. Mo Hiling immediately raised her chin haughtily in Lin Che's direction. Mu Wanqing pulled Lin Che to her and said, little Che, don't worry. All of us are on your side. She won't be able to establish herself in the Gu family. Lin Che said, don't worry, mother. I'm not worried, you can be at ease. Mu Wanqing said, humph. I didn't expect her to be such a scheming woman. I already hated her from the start. Even if the child in her womb is Jingze's, I won't acknowledge this grandson. I'll make her abort it sooner or later. Furthermore, it may not even be Jingze's child. She looked at Lin Che. Don't be angry with Jingze. Lin Che said, although this happened because he stored his sperm away, this incident isn't his fault. Of course, I can distinguish right from wrong. But if she really is pregnant with Jingze's child, you will still be at a disadvantage. Ah, little Che, how can we bear to put you through such pain? Chapter 545. None of us agree with you. Ignoring Mo Hiling completely, Mu Wanqing led a line of people in. Mo Hiling wanted to go in too, but none of the members of the Gu family paid any attention to her. They simply allowed the bodyguards to take her away and did not even spare her a second glance. Even though she knew that they only cared about the precious child in her womb. But the fact that they were treating her like a baby-making machine who was worth nothing without this child made her furious. Humph. When I give birth to the eldest grandson of the Gu family in the future, you people just see what I'll do. Mo Hiling saw a line of people from the Gu family walk towards the clubhouse at the edge of the park. The other people around them still seemed to be gossiping. She asked, can't you take me to the clubhouse too? The bodyguard said, sorry, Miss Mo. We can't do that. Mo Hiling continued, the clubhouse isn't a private estate anyway. I should at least be allowed to go there on my own. The bodyguards remained stoic. The clubhouse over there has already been booked for today by the Gu family. You. Alright then. The Gu family was a huge family with a large business empire. They could even reserve the entire area at the bottom of the mountain just for a visit to the tombs. Mo Hilling could only follow the bodyguards to a small pavilion at the side for a rest. She sat in the middle with dread filling her stomach. All the members of the Gu family made their way into the hall of the clubhouse. They were supposed to be here for a pleasant family gathering. But now, the atmosphere had become unusually solemn. Lin Che and Gu Jingze found a place to sit, as did everyone else. Mu Wanqing sat in the middle, Gu Lanshan sat at the front and the youngest aunt Gu Yiren sat at the back. The only male child from their generation was Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze had only aunts and no uncles. As daughters of an eminent family, his two aunts did not usually bother with matters on his side since they both had their own businesses to run. However, they could not ignore the matter since they had encountered it today. After all, it had to do with the next generation of the Gu family. Gu Lanshan said, "Jingze, you definitely can't be sure that the child in Mo Hilling's womb really isn't yours, right?" Gu Jingze said, "I'm sure." "How do you know?" "The sperm I stored away is untouched. So what she says cannot be true. Naturally, the child isn't mine." "Jingze, we're family. I'll speak a little more bluntly, so don't get angry. That thing isn't stored individually or in twos. All of us store it too. We put it in a small glass bottle and freeze it. How would you know that its contents are completely intact?" Gu Jingze said, "Aunt, what do you mean by this?" Gu Lanshan said, "We'll know if it's your child after she gives birth to it. Don't touch her for the time being. If it's your child, we'll take it in after she gives birth to it. I think little Che isn't so petty a person that she would refuse to bring up your child. If the child isn't yours, we'll just let her give birth to it, but our family will simply ignore it completely thereafter." Gu Jingze said, "It has nothing to do with Lin Che. I'm the one who doesn't want the child. Even if it's mine, I won't want it either. I won't let my woman suffer by helping someone else bring up a child. If I allow such a thing to befall Lin Che, how can I still be qualified to be her husband?" "Gu Lanshan continued, don't be so unreasonable. Besides, I'm sure that the child isn't mine." Hearing this, Gu Yiren started to make peace between the two of them. Alright, since you're sure, there's no need for us to discuss this anymore. Regardless of whether the child is or isn't yours, you won't be the one to bring it up. But you and Lin Che have already been married for some time. It's also time for you two to consider having a child soon. If you two had a child early on, we wouldn't be so anxious about it. After all, we're only anxious because no child has been born to this generation of the Gu family." Gu Lanshan said, "What we mean is that we're only anxious because the two of you aren't making any effort." Gu Jingze stood up and looked at Gu Lanshan. "Whether we have a child or not and the number of children we may have are matters concerning only me and Lin Che. Outsiders have never had a part to play." "Gu Jingze, what do you mean?" Gu Jingze looked at his eldest aunt coldly. Gu Lanshan felt a chill run down her back as she sat there and looked at Gu Jingze. Ultimately, the legitimacy of the Gu family lay with his side of the family. Furthermore, Gu Jingze had the most power in the Gu family. Although he was her biological nephew, he had always acted independently and no one could control him. He had been so domineering all these years, but no one could change him. It was one thing for him to give her respect, but it was another thing altogether when he did not want to give her respect. Gu Lanshan did not dare to say anything more. She could only say coolly, "I was just giving you a suggestion. The Mo family isn't some ordinary family either. It wouldn't be worth it to ruin relations between the two families because of a child." Just then, Mu Wanqing stood up and said, "That's enough. We'll end the discussion here. Later, I'll talk to Mo Hilling and see how it goes. As for this child, our family will definitely not acknowledge it." Gu Lanshan said, "All right then. In any case, since all of you aren't listening to me, I can only tell father about this. I just hope that the business reputation we built up over so many years won't be ruined and mocked by others because of an unborn child. If Mo Hilling makes a big deal out of this in public, it won't be good for our reputation either." When she finished speaking, Gu Lanshan scoffed and walked out. Lin Che stood up and pulled Gu Jingze to her. "Enough, she watched everyone leave before raising her head and saying to Gu Jingze, "Forget it. Don't ruin your relationship with others because of this matter." Gu Jingze took her hand into his. "I said what I was thinking. If I were to make you bring up someone else's child for no reason, then I would also be irresponsible as a husband." Lin Che's heart warmed at his words. This sentence alone was enough for her. What dissatisfactions could she still have when he was so considerate of her? She asked, "Why are you so good to me?" Gu Jingze said, "You're my wife. Who should I be good to, if not you?" He lowered his head and held her shoulders as he looked at her. How could he bear for her to suffer? How could he be willing to see her bring up someone else's child? What's more, Mo Hilling's child. Lin Che said, "But what they said isn't completely unreasonable. You had such a serious argument with them for my sake, are you sure it's all right?" Gu Jingze smiled coldly. "Since I've already made my decision, they should think about their own abilities before trying to force me to do something else. If they insist on opposing me, they will have to pay the price of being my enemy no matter who they are." Lin Che instantly felt that he was truly domineering. She looked up and was smitten by the calm expression on his face right now. Despite the calmness on his face, his gaze naturally emanated a strong aura. He was utterly handsome. Gu Jingze said, "As for Mo Hilling, we don't have to bother with her. She won't affect us. She can just give birth to the child if she wants to. In any case, that child will not be mine." Chapter 546. All of us are on your side. "How can you be so sure? What if you accidentally touched her once before?" Lin Che deliberately asked. Gu Jingze said, Don't worry. You're squeezing my body dry every day. There's probably nothing left even if I go to someone else." Lin Che glared at him. Gu Jingze held her hand. "Come on, let's go out." Lin Che said, "All right then. I won't bother about her either." The two of them finally walked out. The rest of the Gu family watched the two of them leave for a stroll. In their hearts, they really admired Gu Jingze. He actually stuck to his principles and insisted that he did not want the child. He did not even give his own aunt any respect. But it was true that no one in the Gu family dared to rebel against him. Even if they all bore the surname Gu, and of course, he would not harm his own relatives, they would suffer in any case and would gain nothing at all from opposing him. They could only envy Lin Che for having such a strong backing in the form of Gu Jingze to protect her from any harm. She was probably the only woman on earth whom Gu Jingze protected with all his heart and soul. She was truly fortunate. Mu Wanqing came to the pavilion and looked at Mo Hilling. Seeing that Mu Wanqing was here, Mo Hilling still wanted to maintain her image as a well-bred young lady in front of her. "Auntie. Don't call me auntie. I'm no auntie of yours and I have nothing to do with you either," Mu Wanqing said bluntly. Mo Hilling's face immediately sank and her expression soured slightly. Mu Wanqing said, "No matter whose child it is, Jingze won't help you bring it up. You should abort the child while it's still early. Otherwise, regardless of who the father is, no one will help you bring it up once you've given birth to it. You can only take on the burden yourself." Mo Hilling was shocked. You can't do this. The child belongs to the Gu family. I don't believe that the Gu family will leave the child on the streets. You should know what Jingze is like. Since he said that he won't bring the child up, he means it." Mo Hilling could not believe it. She could not believe it. If she were any other woman, she would have believed it. But there was no way that he could not be so heartless towards her. Perhaps, once she gave birth to the child, he would no longer think this way. He would not think this way when he saw his own child. "If you're willing to abort it, I'll immediately hire the best doctor to do the operation. I'll definitely give you compensation as well. As the young miss of the Mo family, I know that you won't care for a small sum as compensation. I will give you a shopping mall as compensation. This is already worth a pretty big sum." How generous, as expected of the Gu family. Mo Hilling laughed grimly. "Since you say that the child doesn't carry the blood of the Gu family, why are you still giving me compensation? The fact that you're being so generous makes me even more certain that the child is definitely Gu Jingze's." "Hey, I'm offering you compensation because we don't want this small issue with you to affect the harmony within our family." Mu Wanqing felt that spending this small sum of money was worth it. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if Mo Hilling continued to approach Jingze given their close relationship in the past and caused problems for him again. It was better to just resolve everything this time. Furthermore, many people knew about her relationship with Gu Jingze in the past. It would ruin Gu Jingze's reputation if she publicly made a fuss and made it known to everyone. In comparison, Jingze's reputation was much more important than this small sum of money. Mo Hilling said furiously, "Why am I not good enough? In any case, I'm the young miss of the Mo family. My child will definitely be a better quality than Lin Che's. Besides, Lin Che may not even be able to get pregnant. If not, why hasn't she gotten pregnant until now? Why must you treat me this way?" Mu Wanqing said, "It's true. I don't like you. You've always known it. So you like Lin Che?" "You're right," Mu Wanqing said bluntly, "I like Lin Che. I'm very happy that she's my daughter-in-law." Immediately, Mo Hilling's jealousy grew. Why did they like a woman like Lin Che who was powerless and had nothing? Why did they simply not like her? Mu Wanqing had been at odds with her for so long. But the moment Lin Che appeared, she instantly took a liking to Lin Che. On the other hand, it had been impossible for her to get even a little closer to the first madam of the Gu family in the past. It seemed that everything came easily to Lin Che while she herself was unable to gain favor no matter what she did. Mo Hilling gritted her teeth. Since she could not gain favor, she said resolutely, "Fine, fine. I won't be courteous to you any longer since you've said this. I won't abort the child. It definitely carries the blood of the Gu family. Unless you kill me, if you force me to abort the child, I'll tell everyone that the Gu family used their power to bully me, made a fool out of me, and even wanted me to abort my child. Don't you think that this would make Gu Jingze, Lin Che, and the Gu family become laughingstocks?" Mo Hilling immediately flung her arms down and walked away when she finished speaking. Mu Wanqing watched her leave with narrowed eyes. How could this slut be so evil? After the entire family returned to the Gu family mansion, Mu Wanqing gave special instructions to the kitchen to prepare more food for Lin Che, lest her appetite worsened after being angered today. Back in the living room, Gu Jingyan looked at Lin Che and said, "Sister-in-law, I heard about what happened today." She had not visited the tombs today as she had been busy with work. Lin Che shrugged her shoulders. "Forget it, it's not that big of a deal." Gu Jingyan said, "Yes, to be honest, it's not that big of a deal. But if that Mo Hilling dares to come looking for trouble, don't worry. All of us are on your side." Lin Che looked at Gu Jingyan gratefully. "Thank you, Jingyan. We're a family. There's no need to stand on formality. Anyway, sister-in-law, this is all caused by my second brother's romantic history. Teach him a good lesson when you go back. Tell him to settle his past relationships properly. It wouldn't be worth it for you to get angry all by yourself." I won't let him off even after I get back." Lin Che raised her fist and thought that if she too got pregnant then things would probably not be this bad. Pooh. What was the point in having these thoughts? She blushed while thinking. She had actually started thinking about getting pregnant. Gu Jingyan said, "By the way, stop overthinking things. Let's go bowling together tonight." Lin Che asked, "Tonight?" "Yes, it's better to do some exercise too. Our family opened a new shopping mall and the entire 6th floor is an exercise area. Ask second brother to come along with us to take a look." Lin Che said, "Sure, but without him." Gu Jingyan said, "If we don't ask him to come along, forget it, second brother bears grudges. He will definitely be angry if I bring sister-in-law out alone. It's better to invite him. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to withstand his anger." "No way, he's not that terrifying. Not towards you, but to other people he's ruthless, even towards his biological sister." Lin Che pursed her lips and said, "You're exaggerating too much. As if he treats me particularly well." Yes, from what we see, he's especially good to you." "That's what you see. You still haven't seen how he is when he's being mean to me." Gu Jingyan said, "When he's mean to you, when is that?" "When the two of you are in bed." Chapter 547, It's so tough being your employee. Lin Che's face turned even redder. "Jingyan, you're way too perverted." Just then, Gu Jingze walked in. You're smiling so happily, what are you talking about? We're talking about going bowling together. Come with us, second brother. We're going to the bowling alley at the newly opened mall. Gu Jingze said, all right. He thought that going out was a good idea too. It would improve her mood. Even though the two of them trusted each other, they still felt uncomfortable after all. He himself felt unsettled inside, let alone Lin Che. Hearing this, Gu Jingze sprang up and immediately went to get the car. At the same time, she said to Lin Che, see. If sister-in-law is with me, second brother will go anywhere with us. What do you mean? Lin Che asked. In the past, he would not even agree to go out for a meal, much less go bowling. He would always say without hesitation that he had no time. When did he ever go out alone for some fun? All right then, she was quite right, he did seem to be a bit of a loner. But when he was with her, he did indeed go out often. Although it was always because she insisted on going out with him. Gu Jingze also called Liu Baikan to ask if he wanted to go. Hearing this, Liu Baikan reluctantly agreed. Gu Jingze spoke into the phone. Why, you don't have to go if you don't want to. Why do you seem so troubled? Worried that they might start arguing again, Lin Che hastily grabbed at the phone and said, all right, all right. He said he's going, the more the merrier. Only then did Gu Jingze put down the phone. Gu Jingze hooked her arm through Lin Che's while Gu Jingze followed behind them. The three of them walked out together and happened to bump into Mu Wanqing. Hey, are you guys going out? Mother, we're going out for a bit. Mu Wanqing looked at them through narrowed eyes. In her heart, she was very happy. Of course, the fact that they were on such good terms lifted her spirits tremendously. When they reached the entrance of the Gu residence, Liu Baikan was coincidentally driving towards them. Gu Jingze said, come on, let's take that car together. It's bigger since it's an SUV. Using second brother's car would be too troublesome. If the people who recognize the car see that second brother is here, they will definitely gather around us. It's better for us to keep a low profile while we're having fun outside. Thus, the three of them got into Liu Baikan's car. Liu Baikan asked, why did you want to go there? Gu Jingze said, it's a newly opened bowling alley. I haven't gone bowling for a long time, so I wanted to take a look. Why, are you busy? If you're too busy, you can leave now. When did I say that I was busy? Liu Baikan looked at Gu Jingze. Why did this woman love picking a fight? Gu Jingze said, it's understandable for President Liu to be so busy. I'm simply being considerate of you. Liu Baikan glared at her. I think that you're just becoming more dissatisfied with me lately. Lin Che asked, classmate Liu, are you sure that you can drive properly? Otherwise let's change the driver. Liu Baikan only seemed to remember that there were still two people at the back when he looked behind. Relax. If not for my magnanimity, she would have angered me to death a long time ago. Lin Che could not believe it. What you're doing is wrong. What? Liu Baikan said. Lin Che said, you can't argue with a woman when she's speaking. You should just go along with her words and say yes, 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 you're right. Then she won't continue speaking. Look at you, she says one sentence and you retort with another. When you're done, she retorts again. Of course, you'll end up arguing. Lin Che lifted her head and said, right, Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze replied, HN. Liu Baikan asked, haven't you ever heard Gu Jingze snap back at you? No. Liu Baikan quickly turned around to look at them again. Then, he suddenly seemed to recall something and said, oh. He doesn't like talking in the first place. Let me tell you, it's not that he doesn't retort. He's just lazy to retort. You've been deceived, you know that. Gu Jingze folded his arms. It's true that I never retort. Gu Jingze said, really? Because what I say is always right. There's no way that she can retort. Lin Che looked at this arrogant man in disbelief. But when she thought about it, he was right. When she was with him, she was constantly surprised. Furthermore, she was so infatuated with him. Seeing that he could do everything and knew so much more than she did, she could only worship him. What was there to retort? She knew nothing and had always agreed with whatever he said. What's more was that Gu Jingze was so handsome no matter how much she wanted to argue with him, she would give up when she saw her face. Forget it, forget it. Since he was so handsome anyway, she would agree with whatever he said. Liu Baikan simply felt that he had watched an entire display of affection. He turned to look at Gu Jingyan. Forget it, she was always able to find faults with him. She was definitely not the gentle kind of woman, she never was, not in the past, not at the present, and much less in the future. After all, perhaps she had already been spoiled rotten by everyone since her school days. He could still remember her first day at school back then. Everyone had said that a young lady from the Gu family had arrived. With her bodyguards in tow and a luxury car to send her anywhere she wanted, she had a truly imposing manner. Subsequently, Gu Jingyan became a well-known figure in school. However, at the time, Liu Baikan had actually thought that she was just a pretty face. He did not expect her to top all the subjects during the first round of exams and become the top scorer of the entire school. Initially, Liu Baikan had not cared much about his grades. But at the time, he really felt that he had been completely humiliated because everyone had said, "Baikan, you're the only one in our school who can go up against her. Your family background can match up to hers and so can your grades. If you can't beat her, the rest of us can forget about ousting her." Unfortunately, the more he tried to catch up with her, the stronger she became in the face of adversity. It was no wonder that he constantly found her unpleasant to the eye. There was never anything good about her. She was always so arrogant, did not seem like a woman at all, and never showed weakness. She was like this even in bed. Gu Jingyan said, "Forget it, sister-in-law. Do you think everyone is as understanding and reasonable as my second brother? He won't listen to what I say in this lifetime. Why don't you listen to what I say? Why do I have to be the one to listen to what you say?" "Because what I say is right," Gu Jingyan said. "Ha, what part of what you said was right?" Liu Baikan asked. Gu Jingyan replied, "Regarding the company that is going to be listed, I said that following my proposal would definitely give it the top prize and push it to the top of the exchange. You didn't believe me and even rebuked me in front of the board of directors. Because your idea was not comprehensive at all. Did I even rebuke you? I just expressed my own opinion. Is that considered rebuking you?" "Of course it is. You can speak to me privately if you have any problems with me. Between the two of us, one is the president, and the other is the vice president. Do you think it looked good on us when we started arguing in front of so many people?" Behind them, Lin Che listened speechlessly. These two were way too persistent in their ways. Lin Che could imagine two members of the company's senior management arguing in the conference room. Everyone would probably not dare to interrupt them and could probably only watch on as they argued, not knowing how to break up the fight. Especially when the two of them were a married couple. Chapter 548. No wonder second brother likes you so much. Liu Baikan said, "Hey, I wanted to talk to you about it in private, but did you ever give me a chance? I could never find you once we arrived at the office." Gu Jingyan paused. It was true when she thought about it now. It was because she immediately started to avoid him once she reached the office so that they would not start arguing again in the office. But of course, she would not admit this in front of him. "You would have found me if you actually tried. You're the one who thinks that I'm a thorn in your eye and can't be bothered to meet me. That's why you deliberately avoided me and did not want to meet me." "You," Liu Baikan continued, "forget it. I can't be bothered to discuss these things with you." Gu Jingyan hummed and was just about to speak again when Lin Che hastily interrupted her. "I really pity your employees." Was being around the two of them every day like being plunged into an abyss of misery because no one knew when they would start arguing amongst themselves? Gu Jingze said, "There's no need. They'll get used to it eventually. They'll become like me, like they're watching a television series to see who will win today. Sometimes it feels like watching the NBA gives me the same thrill. In any case, one side will win and the other will lose." Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze speechlessly. Gu Jingze looked at her. Anyway, no matter how heated the argument gets and how many things they smash, they won't necessarily separate. Otherwise, why are they still interacting with each other even after fighting all along? Gu Jingyan looked up at Liu Baikan and ultimately turned her head away. Liu Baikan scoffed and said, huh. I'm not afraid anyway. We'll argue if we want to. If she can't tolerate it, she can suggest separation. But I won't raise it no matter what. Gu Jingyan asked, why should I be the one to raise it? I can hold myself back from doing that. At the most, I'll treat it as if I'm rearing a disobedient parrot. He's always talking at the side. Indeed, he's a bit noisy, but it doesn't cause any disturbance to me. Of course, you can initiate separation if you can't stand it. They glared at each other and turned away immediately. Fortunately, they finally arrived at the shopping mall at that moment. After alighting from the car, Lin Che quickly pulled Gu Jingze up the stairs. While walking, she said, Iya, if I knew that they had such fiery tempers, I simply wouldn't have agreed to come out with Jingyan. I should have just left them to argue amongst themselves. Gu Jingze said, forget it. It's fine once you get used to it. It will only take a while. Lin Che said, but it will really be a pity if they were to separate. I reckon that it will be very difficult to find an opponent to argue with. At work, they can discuss their opinions about work matters together. And when they're home, there are still things to talk about. Furthermore, they probably get into arguments because they're so similar in terms of status. They also learn similar things and are highly intelligent. Between a man and a woman, there won't be any arguments if one party isn't so strong-headed. Like us. Gu Jingze nodded his head as if in thought and said, you're right. I crush you in every aspect, so you're not really in the position to argue with me. Especially when you may not even be able to go up against me in an argument with your level of intelligence. Lin Che raised her head and glared at him fiercely. All of the amenities in the building were newly built. It was a very big mall and had started operating not long ago. Lin Che knew about it too. Previously, she had repeatedly seen advertisements about it. She had heard that this was a mall for food, drinks, and leisure. There was a total of 13 floors. The hotel was upstairs and the mall was downstairs. The space in between was for exercise and leisure. There was a cinema, an arcade, and a gym. Everything could be found here. Lin Che had simply not expected it to be a development by the Gu family. There were quite a number of people here. Lin Che, Gu Jingze, and the others went up through a passageway inside. When they arrived at the fitness center, there were much fewer people. There were a sports hall and a gym. There was even a tennis court, an indoor golf course, and a bowling alley. The bowling alley was quite empty. After going in, Lin Che followed Gu Jingyan to the changing room. As they walked, Gu Jingyan asked, how do you find it, sister-in-law? This place is pretty good, right? It is. There's so much space and it's fully equipped with amenities. It's really not bad. I already started looking for people to plan this development even before I returned to the country. We spent 3 years building it before it started operations. Wow, so you made this happen, Lin Che looked at Gu Jingyan and said. Gu Jingyan said, yes. The capital still came from the Gu family, but I was the one who got people to plan it. Lin Che felt that the children of the Gu family were all very formidable. All of them had their own accomplishments in their respective fields. Even Gu Jingze's younger sister was the same. The two of them went out after changing into gym clothes. Dressed in similar clothes, each of the two beautiful women had their own unique charm. One was alluring and the other was refreshing. Both of them really surprised everyone. As they walked through the bowling alley, everyone else around them could not help but look at them. Fortunately, the place was not crowded. Thus, even if someone recognized Lin Che, it would not cause any chaos. With their eyes fixed on the two of them, the men were about to start drooling. However, they watched the two girls walk straight towards the two tall and well-built men over there. Although all of them were dressed in simple gym clothes, it was precisely their casual attire which made their natural beauty even more obvious. It was clear with one look that they were not ordinary people. Even in gym clothes, they were so good-looking. Much less in daily life. Lin Che said, I bowled during my school days. I'll give it a try. Gu Jingyan said, really? Go on, sister-in-law. But I'm definitely much worse than you think, ha 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 ha. If any of you dare to laugh at me, I'll stuff the bowling ball into your mouths. Gu Jingyan said, ha 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 ha. Sister-in-law, you're so funny. Don't stuff it into my mouth. Stuff it into theirs. The two of them have such venomous mouths. Lin Che put some powder on her hand before picking up the bowling ball. When the machine indicated that the bowling pins were in place, she stepped forward and immediately threw the ball. The ball moved along the lane. Luckily, it did not roll into the gutter. But the ball slanted a little and only knocked down 3 pins. Behind her, Gu Jingze shook his head. Lin Che exclaimed, "Oh no," before saying, "I knocked down 3 pins. That's not bad, not bad." Gu Jingze said, "There are 7 more that you didn't hit." Lin Che said, "Seriously, you must know how to change your perspective, alright? If you keep looking at the bad side of things, you'll be unhappy all the time. If you look on the bright side, you'll be very happy every day, right? Why do you have to focus on the pins that I didn't knock down? You should look at the ones that I knocked down." Hearing Lin Che's words, Gu Jingze narrowed her eyes and nodded. She smiled and said to Gu Jingze, "Sister-in-law is right." Gu Jingze looked at Gu Jingze before nodding coolly to Lin Che. Alright then, she wasn't wrong either. He knew that this girl had always had many nonsensical principles. At times, they left the perfectionist in him speechless too. However, Gu Jingze smiled as she looked at Lin Che. She seemed to be taking a liking to this sister-in-law. She was also beginning to understand why second brother liked being together with her and treated her so well. Gu Jingze said, "That's enough. Don't make fun of sister-in-law. You guys give it a go. Why don't you compete against each other and see who's better?" Chapter 549. The two of them were really going hard at it. Liu Baikan immediately stood up and warmed his wrists up. "Sure, let's compete." Gu Jingze shrugged his shoulders in a show of nonchalance. Beside them, Gu Jingze was still looking on in excitement. She clapped her hands happily and said, "That's great. The loser will have to go up to a random man and say, 'I love you.' How's that?" Lin Che nearly sputtered. Gu Jingze was a riot. Sure enough, Gu Jingze frowned and turned to look at Gu Jingze. Liu Baikan added, "No way. Can you think of a less disgusting idea? Can we change it to confessing to a woman?" "Forget it. That would be going too easy on you guys. No way. You must confess to a man." "Why, Liu Baikan, are you worried that you'll lose to my second brother since you know how good he is? How can you be any worse at goading people?" Gu Jingze made a face. "Then, go ahead." Gu Jingze looked at Gu Jingze, "Look, my second brother isn't worried at all. Because right now, he has already triumphed in his heart." Liu Baikan saw that Gu Jingze was indeed looking at the bowling lane in front of him. Liu Baikan said, "All right. Let's do it." Liu Baikan walked to the front and put chalk on his hands. Then, he turned to say to Gu Jingze, "Come on. I definitely won't let you win so I don't have to confess to a man today." Gu Jingze raised his eyebrows. "I think you should start preparing now." "Prepare to do what?" "Prepare your confession. Bastard, just watch me defeat you today." Lin Che and Gu Jingze watched from the side as the two of them went back and forth. They knew that Gu Jingze's normal way of speaking was absolutely infuriating. The two of them began to compete. The machine that was keeping score was extremely accurate. A bowling competition was divided into rounds. There were 10 tries per round. They were given 2 chances per try. If they scored a strike the first time, then there would be no need for a second try. If they did not get a strike, they could still try a second time. If they got a strike on their first try in the last round, they could still go on for 2 rounds. In the end, they would look at the total score and determine the winner with the higher score. Liu Baikan went for it first and got a strike. He turned to Gu Jingze and raised his brows to provoke him. Gu Jingze was completely calm. He walked to the front slowly and picked up the ball. With perfect posture and technique, he immediately tossed the ball. He seemed to be very calm and collected. His actions were extremely slow and methodical, but his confidence was obvious. Sure enough, the ball rolled and immediately knocked down all 10 pins. Lin Che said, "Wow. They're all so good at this." "Yes, we'll see who makes a mistake," Gu Jingze said. Gu Jingze asked, "Who do you hope will win?" Shrugging her shoulders, she said, "Forget it. It's useless for me to ask. Of course, you hope that second brother will win. Lin Che said, no, I still hope that Gu Baikan will win. Why? Because I want to see Gu Jingze confess to a man, Lin Che said. Gu Jingyan broke into a smile. Alright then, that makes sense too, haha. In that case, I hope that second brother wins. Gu Baikan should be the one to confess. He deserves it for being so arrogant. While they were talking, the second round had already started. Just like that, the two of them rivaled each other, each would return a strike with a strike. They reached a stalemate, with neither person giving in to the other. However, behind them, other people had gradually noticed the competition going on here. Although the people who came here knew how to bowl, many of them were not that good at it. Among them, no one was so good that every attempt was a strike. Furthermore, looking at their movements, their posture, and their accuracy, everyone simply felt that they were complete professionals. Wow, those two men are really handsome. Yes, they're so good at it. Are they professionals? Looking at the way they're dressed, they don't seem to be. They don't look like athletes either. They literally look like celebrities. They're even more handsome than celebrities. Of course, celebrities look like that because they've all had plastic surgery. One glance at them and you can tell that they look much more unique than those celebrities. Precisely. They look like they're from wealthy or influential families. Their figures are so good too, it must be because they often train their bodies. In no time, all the people in the entire bowling alley gathered around to watch the two of them compete. Gu Baikan glared at Gu Jingze. How did he have the time to practice bowling when he was so busy? But he was actually so good at it and so difficult to beat. Jingze, is it really good for you to compete with me like this? Let me tell you, our family is the one lending your family the apparatus to erect the bridge tomorrow. Oh, Gu Jingze looked at him. I think you also forgot that your family is still tendering a bid for the Bay Engineering project next week. You will need a capital of 13 billion RMB after you get the bid. Are you sure that you want to offend me, the person in charge of the project? You fine. If you lose today, I'll transfer the managing rights to our family's Qianming Mall to you. That would be equivalent to giving you a huge mall with its annual revenue of 30 billion. Hehe. Nothing will happen to me if you lose. I only know that if you win, I will immediately give Jingyan's contact details to Zhang Tingye. He has been wooing Jingyan persistently, but he has never gotten her phone number even after so many years. Gu Jingze was too evil. He was truly evil. Lin Che and Gu Jingyan watched on from the side. Lin Che shuddered while listening to them. She wondered if there was a need for these presidents to threaten each other with billions and billions of RMB just for a simple bowling match. She really wanted to say, pass me all the money. I'll help you guys confess to a man. But what the hell was that last threat? Gu Baikan gritted his teeth, snorted, and said, what are you afraid of? It's just confessing to a man. I'm not afraid. I just think that degrading things like these are best left to you, Gu Jingze said. Just you wait. Gu Baikan then got another strike. They reached the 10th round very soon after. Unexpectedly, the two of them had scored all strikes. The people around them inevitably went into an uproar. These two people were amazing. Neither was giving in to the other. If neither of them made a mistake in this competition, there would be no clear winner even after a day of competing. But even if the competition went on for a day, the bystanders were willing to watch. After all, the two of them were very handsome and they looked so good bowling. Lin Che wanted to say something but was stopped when she heard a girl shout from behind, all the best, all the best. How handsome. Lin Che turned around only to realize that there were so many people around them. She let out an involuntary sigh. Seriously, they attracted so much attention wherever they went. As a result, even a pretty well-known celebrity like her faded into the background when she was with them. There were indeed people looking at her curiously. However, as they were sitting with their backs facing the crowd, men and women alike could only speculate how those two beautiful women who clearly had good figures were related to the two handsome men. Lin Che really wanted to see Gu Jingze confess to a man. She had never seen him in an embarrassing situation before and was really looking forward to it. However, at the same time, she personally did not like seeing Gu Jingze lose. Because it seemed that Gu Jingze had never lost. Chapter 550. Gu Jingze was too treacherous. The two of them looked like they were about to start their last game. Lin Che stood up to watch, wondering if this last game would still be a strike. But at this moment, Liu Baikan picked up the ball. Gu Jingze suddenly looked at Liu Baikan and said airily, "Oh right, I'm not sure if you've seen Jingyan's diary." Liu Baikan looked towards Gu Jingze. "What did you say?" Gu Jingze looked up. When Jingyan was in high school, she kept writing in diaries. There are probably at least 10 diaries at home. Haven't you seen them? He and Gu Jingyan lived especially independently. He never bothered with these things about Gu Jingyan. But what about the diaries? Did she write about him? It wasn't impossible. In high school, they were very close. He was curious about what she wrote about him in her diary. He was also curious about where exactly he stood in her heart during high school. Gu Jingze only said one sentence, smiled at him, and continued playing. Damn. He had never met such a treacherous person like Gu Jingze. Even in the last game, he had the cheek to. However, Liu Baikan looked around and slowly threw his ball. Then, the ball quickly curved to the side and only struck down 4 pins. The rest of the pins only moved a little but did not go down. "Oh my, what a pity," people at the sides exclaimed. Lin Che immediately stood up and thought, what is going on? It looks like Gu Jingze said something to Liu Baikan just now, and after that, Liu Baikan seemed to have automatically given up. But what exactly did he say? It was Gu Jingze's turn next. He turned back to look at Liu Baikan. There was a smile on his face that looked very mysterious. Then, he tossed the ball confidently just like the many times he had done before. And just as imagined, he hit a strike again. Gu Jingze won. Lin Che jumped up and ran to them. "Wow, Liu Baikan, are you admitting defeat now? Are you going to confess to a man?" Gu Jingyan also said, "I told you that you can't win against my second brother. Seriously, go on and confess." Liu Baikan turned back to glare at Gu Jingyan. He wiped off the white powder on his hands and then quickly hooked his arm around Gu Jingze's shoulder. He lowered his head and asked, "Hey, I lost to you. You should tell me now." "Tell you what?" Gu Jingze asked. Liu Baikan said, "You said that you've seen Gu Jingyan's diaries. Tell me, what did she write inside?" Gu Jingze was also plainly wiping his hands. He looked innocently at Liu Baikan. "Oh, you're talking about that. Quick, tell me, don't play dumb," Liu Baikan said. Gu Jingze said, "I have seen her diaries, but I didn't see the content. Did you think I would be someone who takes and reads someone else's diary?" Liu Baikan was so mad that his face turned red. Gu Jingze. "What? You said that you saw them just now." "I said that I've seen the diaries. That is indeed the truth." "You." "Fine." Liu Baikan was tricked by him. He knew, but he did it on purpose. Gu Jingyan said, "Hey, what are you doing? Don't try to claim that you forgot. Go and confess." Gu Jingyan went over and tugged Liu Baikan. Liu Baikan looked at her speechlessly and could only say, "Tisk, I will practice what I preach, unlike some other people who like to be the little person." He was directing it at Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze raised his brow and looked in his direction. He picked up his cup gracefully and took a gentle sip. He didn't care at all. Anyway, he already won regardless of the trick he used. Liu Baikan grunted and continued walking out. Gu Jingyan followed after him and pulled Lin Che along with him. Come. Let's help him find a suitable guy to confess to." Both of them were gloating so much as they watched men going in and out of the gym. Gu Jingyan said, "Hey, how about that chubby guy there? He looks very valiant." Lin Che said, "Hey, how about that one over there? He has a girlfriend beside him." "Ha ha ha, you're more evil than me. Okay, let him confess to that guy with his girlfriend." She hastily pushed Liu Baikan. Go on. Liu Baikan, if you agree to bet, you must be willing to lose. Don't think about backing out now. Go on, quick." Liu Baikan looked over there hesitantly. He could only look speechlessly and say, Fine, I'll go. "Stop pushing me. Since I said that I'll go, it means that I will go. I won't go back on my words." However, Lu Baikan had really never done such an outrageous thing like confessing to a man. He looked over there and scratched his head in distress. He wanted to quickly get it over with, so he decided to walk over. Lin Che and Gu Jingze snickered as they watched from behind. They were laughing so much that their stomachs hurt. Lu Baikan walked to the couple and said, "Hey, wait a minute." The guy was rather good looking and the girl was also quite pretty. Seeing that Lu Baikan called out to them, they were also puzzled and their faces were filled with confusion. But seeing that Lu Baikan was handsome and he looked very approachable, the girl then smiled. She looked at him and asked, "What's up?" Lu Baikan turned directly to the man and spoke very fast, "I love you and I want to be with you. I never want to leave you for as long as I live." The man was completely stumped. Why you, what are you talking about?" The girl froze for a second and then covered her mouth as she tried to hide her amusement. After Lu Baikan said it, he mumbled, "Idiot, what is this? Gu Jingze, I'll remember this my whole life." Not caring about the couple, he quickly turned around and left. Ha 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 ha. Lin Che and Gu Jingze were really dying of laughter. Especially when they saw that the girl looked so happy. They were extremely tickled. Clearly, girls nowadays had a very high tolerance. Gu Jingze said, "That girl looks very happy. Might as well let Lu Baikan be with that guy." Lin Che said, "Yes. The main thing is that Lu Baikan is handsome. If he was ugly, she probably wouldn't have been very happy. Now, she just got to see two handsome guys together. Of course, she would be happy." Just then, Lu Baikan returned. Gu Jingze quickly said, "Not bad, not bad. Not a bad confession. It looks like you have a gift in this area." "Stop it. Don't say a word about this ever again. Okay, let's go eat. Gu Jingze is treating and I'll definitely order a lot." Lu Baikan took big steps towards Gu Jingze as if he was preparing to attack. The four of them drove off and very soon reached an expensive Japanese restaurant. Lu Baikan said, "Sigh, I still can't bear to do anything to you. Let's just eat something mid-range. You don't have to treat us to an expensive meal." Lin Che looked up speechlessly. This was mid-range. She knew of this place, she had heard about it before. Having a meal here would cost at least 10,000 yuan. It was said that the restaurant imports fresh ingredients air-flown from Japan and all the sashimi and seafood were delivered on the day itself.